Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour. And welcome back to Fate Mag Radio. I am so pleased to have my friend Ray Davis on here with me, and we were discussing all the things. But right as we went to break, we were discussing the political climate and the fear-mongering that's going on, which kind of keeps people under control of the source of that fear. And Ray, you were sharing an idea about that.
Yeah, it's just this, and I think this is really, common knowledge in a lot of the ancient spiritual traditions, is that when you're living in a state of fear, that is a state that does not lend itself to this understanding of this power that lies within us. And, the system that we have today is very good at and I would say fear is the leading one, but I think negative emotions in general do not lead to that. And the system that we have today, the politics, the media is constantly feeding us, division, negativity, anger, fear. And when you're, vibrating, so to speak, at that level, you can't clear, yourself to really understand who you really are and what you're really here to accomplish. And the fact that I like to say that there's, we're a 1 in a trillion miracle. Every single one of us is. Not just you, but everyone you meet today. And I mean everyone. The guy that cuts you off in traffic, the person who doesn't agree with your political view, the person who, has a totally different world view than you. They're still 1 in a trillion miracles, just like you are. And we need to learn to see each other that way again, and not see each other as this label or that label. Or I can't associate with them because they don't hold the same beliefs that I have, or they think differently than I do. And I would just say we have a system of mass communication that just constantly reinforces those divisions and that negativity. And until we kind of turn that off and take control back ourselves, of our energy and our thought process, it's going to be really hard to fix a lot of these problems that we have, because we just cycle through, this meaningless. And I'll just use the current example. Here I am going into dangerous territory, but the national emergency, the wall, the whole thing going on with that right now, right? I mean, if we really examine these issues, the reason we have this issue really has nothing to do with what's going on right now. It's because we have an issue here that we haven't dealt with as a country for decades. This has been going on for decades, and we haven't ever sat down and come up with a common sense, sane policy to address this. And so now we have so many issues like that in our politics that are just used then to kind of divide and get people swirled up, and we don't ever solve any problems. If you notice, we don't really ever solve any of the big problems in our politics. They just
because
linger
nobody
on
addresses
forever
them.
as issues. That's right. They don't. If they would rather have them to rile people up and keep them in a negative space, because if we actually work together constructively to solve them, that would empower people. Because it takes an energy of self-awareness and positivity to solve things, and it's almost like under the radar. People don't realize that this is kind of happening all the time, but we just get sucked into it. And pretty soon we're in a river, and you get in a conversation with someone, and they start reacting based on the talking points they have in their head. You start reacting to based on the talking points you have in your head, and pretty soon they're butting heads, and you can't dialogue, and you can't get anything done. And that's by design, I feel like that's not our natural state. Our natural state is sovereign people who can think for ourselves logically, who can have dialogue with people who disagree with us, and we can figure out, we might disagree on how to put the barn up, but if we can agree that we need to put a barn up and we start putting it up, we'll get there. But if we just stand there and argue about how to put the barn up forever, we don't ever get anywhere. And I think that's kind of where we are in a lot of key issues in our politics right now. We can't get beyond that because we just are out in the yard having the argument instead of putting the barn up.
That's a great analogy. We've got people in chat who, Brenda says she's not in a state of fear. She's in a state of having a belly full of the machinations and manipulations and tired of the bovine feces. And that is a lot of what it is. We have, a 3-day, possibly, if that long, news cycle. And then some other crisis is created and reported to the, and that happens primarily here. I read international papers and I follow international news podcasts because I have found that the American media does a crappy job overall. I mean, across the board. There's one news agency that I like, and they're not one of the big ones, but they're a little conservative, but they try to report the news, just the news. And I don't know. I think that the media here is just so ridiculous. It's two sides of the same coin. And
absolutely, and I agree with your listener. I think before I came on tonight, April and I were watching a movie. It's a new movie that's out. It's called Bohemian Rhapsody. It's kind of the story of Queen, right? The group Queen and Freddie Mercury, their singer, and that kind of thing. It was a really good movie, I thought. And the end of the movie, they're singing at Live Aid back in 1985. Where they were raising money to help the people who were starving in Africa and that kind of thing. And something just fell into place. It's something I've thought about many times before, but I haven't for a while. And about 1985, I felt like there was a very positive, forward-looking shift happening kind of in the global consciousness. And I think that kind of went on through the 90s. And then I think we all know the specific day. You could probably name the day that all ended and our mindset shifted. And we can argue about what happened that day or what didn't happen that day, but the bottom line, the net result of that has been we have been living in a world of negativity and chaos since then. And our energy is not what it was for about 15 years there, I would say, from the mid-'80s and through the 90s till about 2001. I think we were headed in a very good direction, and I don't know, how we get back to that state other than, like I say, kind of taking it back from for ourselves and then reaching out to work together again. But there's no doubt that day sent us in a very negative trend as far as our energy. And we've got to get out of that tailspin. We really do. Regardless of what you think happened that day, we have got to get back on a path towards a forward-looking, constructive way of looking at the world. And we're just not there right now.
What do you think would get us there?
Well, in addition to what I've been saying about kind of individually, trying to get our energy back aligned with the universe, I think as a country, if we're talking about the United States particularly, and I'm very pleased, I have to say, I'm not going to really get into who they are, but there are two candidates that I've seen that have already come out for president for 2020 that I'm very intrigued with for different reasons. One of them is someone I followed for many years because she has her expertise has been in a field that I've been interested in for a long time, and I think she's bringing some good messaging to this. But I really do think that we have to get out of this business of being the world's policeman and spending all of our money overseas. And I think I really do feel like there's kind of been this push to create kind of a new Cold War.
Yes.
And I think all of those things are very negative. And I'm talking energetically. Forget the politics and the economics and all that. Energetically, these things are very negative. And I think we need to pull back, and I think we need to take care of the issues that are just screaming out for attention here at home. I think in a way, just like an individual has to take care of themselves first or they can't help anyone else, I feel like as a country, the United States right now has got to pull back and take care of some issues that are going on here at home. We're not doing anyone any favors, I don't think, in the way we're running our foreign policy right now. So I'm very pleased that I'm seeing a couple people who've gotten into the race, I think, who really get this. And, it's very much against the mainstream narrative, and they're going to get a lot of attacks. They already are getting a lot of attacks because of this stance. But I feel like that's the first thing we need to do is pull back from this constant war stance, come home and have some focus on doing some good things for the American people. And I think that just like we have to do self-care for us as an individual, I think we have to do some self-care for us as a country. And and not in a selfish way, or that we're going to, deny connections with the rest of the world. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this understanding that the United States can only be its best if we are taking care of ourselves. And
well,
we've
that's like
gotten
an
so far
individual
off
too.
the deep end. Absolutely.
It's no different from an individual.
But the military-industrial complex doesn't want that. There's too much of a gravy train and a profit train involved in this perpetual war stance, and
Absolutely.
we've just got to get away from that.
Well, look at the fit when we were going to pull out of Syria.
Yes.
I mean, the whole world, well, the whole political world in the U.S. just flipped out. And not because, I mean, there was a lot of lip service paid to, oh, well, the Kurds, and, oh, well, this, that, and the other. It was because there's a lot of money in war.
Well, there was an interesting thing that happened last week. And one of these candidates that I'm talking about went on a major news outlet, and it was 5-on-1.
Yes.
And this candidate was making the case for the fact that we need to pull out of all this regime change stuff. We need to stop spending our money and our resources and our assets, getting involved in other people's business, and we need to come home. And I mean, the attacks that this candidate came under from these journalists, it was obvious who's paying them, and second, it's just we've been doing this so long, and I really feel like this as a country. I'm not saying that people consciously agree with this. I think most people don't agree with this, but we've been at this interventionism for so long now that it's become so normal that people don't even question it anymore.
I agree.
And we've got to question this stuff. I mean, when we're talking about how do we make a change, how do we shift our direction here, these are the things we've got to get conscious about again, and we've got to get control back again, because after again that day 9/11, I mean, Congress, on behalf of the American people, turned over a blank check to the executive branch and said, "You do whatever you want to do," and that's what we've been doing. And the military-industrial complex has just been riding that train for 18 years now, and it's on autopilot, and we've got to get back control of that as a country, I think. And I know that sounds like a mundane thing, but I really feel like there's a lot of energetic benefit that would happen if we would get conscious about that and understand that we're not doing these things to help people. We're doing these things for economic and geopolitical reasons that don't really have anything to do with helping the people there, and they certainly are not helping the American people. And I think we just need to get clear about that.
I agree. I think it's awful, though, that people do come under attack when they're trying to get just a part of that message out. As you said, it's very obvious who works for whom when you start approaching those subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And
when
it's
they start
very
throwing
frustrating.
names at you, right? They're not being journalists when they're throwing names at you and I mean, really, I would use the word smear. They're really smearing you, and they're telling all their viewers, this is not someone you should take seriously, because that's not how we think around here. And I think though people are seeing through that more.
Yes.
But I'm just going to say that the manipulators are very good at manipulating. They haven't maintained power for this long because they're not good at this, and they are, and they do get people caught into these eddies of emotion that they can't get out of. And we see a lot of that going on right now.
We do. And that being said, we're at the top of the hour just about, and we're going to take a 5-minute news break. And, I'm hoping to see these changes, but you know what? I hope you find a little bit of good news in this reporting tonight. This is a 5-minute news break from NPR Radio. It's a good time to fill up your tea glass or your wine glass or whatever you've got flowing.